Hey train tubers, hey, welcome back to the BAC 5, and guess what, time to go back to school. Your COVID vacation is over, and you can see today's lesson is on, how I did my helix. And not to say this is how to at all, not one bit, but this is just my experiences with my helix, since I've been seeing a lot of helix videos here lately. A lot of information on the sheet. I figured I might as well write everything down, that way. Sometimes people ask me certain things about my helix. I have two helices on my layout. One's 9 levels. Sorry about that. I had to get my cat off the layout, so I paused it. So I think I was telling you about my two helices. One's 9 level, and the other one's has 3 levels to it. So I'm mainly going to talk about my 9 level one. And hey, this is part 1 of a 3-part series. Part 3 is just going to be showing some trains running on the helix. So if you want to just skip to that and go to part 3, that'll come out here next few days or so. So anyways, part 1 is just kind of talking about this here. Part 2 will be getting into the helix and just showing you how I built my crazy thing. And this is just going to be on, I'll kind of talk about some things just on paper here real quick. Well, I say real quick, but we'll see how this goes. Okay, you kind of see, the radius on mine is 28.5 inches, and that's the center line of the track, and 31 inches. So on this piece here, you kind of see how it's set up. I got 2 tracks going up it, and I used, can't believe it or not, I've got 9 levels, so about 9.5. to be exact, about 100 pieces of 3-foot flex track in it, so 50 pieces on each. Well, one on the inner loop, one on the outer loop. Well, to be a little more specific, I'll go get into this, I guess. Okay, so 20.5 inches on the radius on the inside loop, so that translates into, I used 177 inches of track. That's a center line, so that works out to be, and I hope I figure this one out, but just a little under 15 feet of track that I'm running up every single level as it goes up. So center line of track per rotation, it comes out to 2.26% grade, 1.29 degrees. So my next router loop, 31 inches, and I used 197 inches of track per rotation, and that's a little over 16 feet right there. So that's a big chunk of change. As far as buying the tracks, I used Atlas track on mine too, by the way, and I'm talking about track. When I built it, I just built it straight onto the, I used MDF, the fiberboard. Straight onto that, I just tacked it on with some small little tacks, and in part 2, hopefully I'll show you that, if I remember. But I didn't use here's a little piece of cork road bed. I didn't use any type of road bed, because that's just, that's raising it up another 3/16 of an inch, so you gotta, think about that as far as, say, you gotta put a car back on the track, getting your fingers in there and all that kind of stuff, and I have pretty small fingers, so that's never been a problem. But you kind of see here, I got the 4-inch rise every rotation too. That's how you figure out, well, that's an example of a grade, how you figure that out. You just divide it, that number, by the 177. So, okay, getting into the 4x8 sheets of wood. So my initial construction, I bought 2 4x8 sheets of MDF. There's 1, there's 2. Put them in the driveway, butt them up together, and drew a circle. And how I drew a circle is, well, you guys know helix, like the definition of helix is it's a spiral incline from a fixed point. So this is my spiral measurement right here from a fixed point. You see my fixed point in the center. So what I did, you can use a yardstick. I ended up using this. This is for use for sewing. I kind of like this because it's flexible. It worked out, I think, pretty sweet as far as the rotation. So And I compensated for this, this pushed back about a 1/4 inch or so. So instead of this being, well, on this thing, it's a good, what, a little over 1.5 inches. But what I did is I just went up to what I wanted for the radius. So 28.5 inch radius, I marked it there and spun it around and made it even with that into the MDF so that I could come up with the circle. So made a circle. Oh, you know what? I said 28. I need to specify this. So radius is 28.5 inches. I'm going to get confused myself here, but so I ended up making my template 7.5 inches. So all that to say, I don't really have the exact measurement in front of me, but you push back for the oh, here it is. I guess I do. 67 inches outside diameter. Okay. Okay, that's it right there. So it came up with that as far as the outside diameter. So, and then inside diameter, forgot I wrote it. I wrote this a couple days ago. 52 inches. So I hope that's right. I think that's right. So divided these into 3. I came up with this. This is my template. I cut this one out of the MDF or the sheet of MDF, but I did not cut these 2 out, even though I drew the whole circle around it and marked everything. I marked this. These are easy to figure out. You just measure this, that, and make them all even. So they're all even. Then you've got a nice 3 pieces that are all the same. So cut this puppy out, use this as a template, and I slid that around and maximized the use of the MDF. As many templates as I could make. I built this about 12 years ago, so I don't remember how many sheets of MDF I used. 5, maybe? I'm just guesstimating. But it's been a while since I cut all this out here. Okay, on my MDF, as you can see too, it's 1/2 inch thickness. That's what I used. So I cut out 24 pieces, and the reason I cut out 27 is because on the very first level, I call it just the 0 level of the bottom floor, I used 3/4 inch plywood. I wanted to make that nice and strong because you build off of that. So they say first level, even your second level, once you get that second level, you take off pretty much from there and work on up. So that's 3/4 inch plywood on the bottom level. I'll show you that, and I think that's in part 2. So 4-inch rise, and I guess we're done with this one. I got one more piece of paper here, so get to burn through this. I just jotted down, I'm not going to read through all these pros and cons. If you want to read them, that's fine. But I wanted to get more into, okay, my track. So I use coat on track. I stagger the joints. So you'll see when I show the part 2 is that I slid the rail. So the joints are not the same. They're all, staggered like that. Varying points. And I tell you that was the key right there. If I had not done that, I know I'd have a lot of derailments. And I hardly have any derailments in there. It's very rare. My problems come from this right here. So after years of running trains, I just kind of said, okay, this is my rules. And there are a few exceptions, but I just have 36 cars in the outside radius and run a train, no more than 28 cars on the inside radius. Again, there are a few exceptions. I know some of my trains, my unit train, my empty coal train, it can handle an inside radius, and it's well over 30 cars, so it can handle it, no problem. Going uphill, we're all talking about going uphill. I got to be careful of running long cars. Anything I consider long cars, like the Union Pacific Railroad, any long cars are anything over 73 feet on the head end, or maybe the cars aren't weighed right. Seems like my longer cars really aren't weighed properly, and even then, you still have problems because it wants to string line in there. So, and I play this game here. The outer loop is my main, and the inner loop is my siding. Well, I call it Hearst siding because in the Niles Canyon, you go through Niles Canyon, there's a siding called Hearst siding, which isn't very long, but there's a siding there just as you pop out of Niles Canyon there on the east side. So that's my Hurst helix, and I'll show you a couple shots of my view going in here while I think about something else to tell you. Okay, this is looking at the lowest level of my helix, and I can't remember if I did this in part 2 or not, but what the heck, I'll just do this real quick here. 2 right tracks are going up the helix. That far left track, that's actually a reversal that just goes around the layout, circles back around. That way I can run trains. Just staying on the lower level. I'm on the lower level, of course, right now. So, yeah, just kind of looking in there. I got a crossover here, and then, of course, on top I got a crossover. So, my main line being the outside diameter, or the middle track in this picture right here. But in the right track is my so-called siding. So, okay. And here's the top, or almost the top of the helix. You can see on the right there that swings out, swings wide, and it swings right back in the helix. That's one thing you can do that every few rotations, have it come popping out, and you do a roll by. Kind of came up with that idea. So at some point that'll be a tunnel going, diving back in there. It comes popping out, and then you won't be able to see this. I'm going to hide this, with the hillside kind of popping up. So you just all of a sudden, you're running a train helix and you come see it popping out and it goes back in again. So, other things I've seen on other helixes is, say you go up maybe 2 rotations and then somebody will have like a plexiglass or just an open scene for maybe 3 feet, just underneath the helix, every so often. I think that's kind of neat. That way you can kind of keep an eye on your train and so it doesn't disappear the whole time, depending on how tall your helix is. So there's some neat things you can do with helices. Okay, guys, that's about all I can think of as far as the helix goes. I really appreciate you watching, and I figure I'd leave you with this scene out in the farm, remote Balota, California. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. And thanks to all my subscribers and all of the other people that I've communicated with on YouTube, all you train people. Yeah, you guys all been great, and I've gotten a lot of tips off of everybody, and I think we all try to help each other out. So, hey, take care, you guys. Appreciate it. Good luck, and happy training.